The vast plains of the African savanna stretched endlessly beneath the sky, painted in warm hues of orange and crimson. As the sun began its slow descent, casting elongated shadows across the tall grasses, a quiet stillness settled over the land. This time of day was often peaceful, but tonight a subtle tension hung in the air, almost imperceptible, yet unmistakably present for those who knew how to listen. Hidden beneath the sparse branches of a dry acacia tree, a young deer lay trembling. Its slender legs, once full of strength and nimbleness, were now weakened and bent awkwardly beneath it. The injury was fresh, a painful twist caused when it had desperately fled through the thickets, escaping from a sudden threat. The doe's dark eyes were wide with fear, reflecting the fading sunlight and the raw vulnerability of her situation. She was alone, hurt, and completely defenseless. The rustle of leaves and a faint crack of dry twigs nearby stirred the deer's fragile hope into heightened alertness. Somewhere in the underbrush, the unmistakable presence of a predator lurked, a powerful creature whose instincts were sharpened by hunger and survival. Jabari, the lion, prowled silently but purposefully not far from the wounded animal. His broad frame blended seamlessly with the shadows, muscles coiled beneath his tawny fur like springs ready to unleash deadly force. His golden eyes, cold and relentless, were locked on the trembling prey. In his mind, there was no room for mercy. Hunger gnawed at his insides, and his primal drive to hunt and feed overrode all else. Yet, the wild often holds surprises. It has a way of turning the tides in the most unexpected moments. Not far from this unfolding scene, a sturdy gate marked the boundary of a ranger station. Behind those gates lived Bruno, a German shepherd whose years of loyal service had earned him a revered place in the hearts of the people who worked to protect the wildlife of this land. Though time had brushed his muzzle with streaks of silver, his eyes still shone with the sharp intelligence and fierce determination of a warrior. Retirement had not dulled his instincts. On the contrary, he remained ever vigilant, attuned to the slightest hint of danger. As the evening breeze carried the soft, desperate bleats from the injured deer, Bruno's ears twitched. He lifted his head, sniffing the air with practiced precision. The scent of fear, blood, and the faint trace of a lurking predator reached his keen nose, triggering an immediate response. Without hesitation, he bounded out of the station, powerful legs driving him forward across the open grassland. Each step was sure and swift, his pace a perfect blend of speed and control, honed through years of tracking and chasing threats. Jabari, sensing movement nearby, tensed his muscles and prepared to strike. He inched closer, every motion calculated to ensure stealth and efficiency. His hot breath mingled with the cooling air as he crouched low, ready to pounce. But just as his powerful limbs coiled to launch him toward the helpless deer, an unexpected sound shattered the quiet. A deep, commanding bark reverberated across the savanna. Bruno was upon the scene, a sudden wall of defiance and courage between the predator and prey. His sharp teeth were bared in a fierce snarl, eyes blazing with unyielding resolve. The deer, startled by the arrival of its unexpected protector, blinked up at Bruno with a flicker of hope. Jabari halted, surprised by the audacity of this newcomer. A dog? Here? Surely this was not a rival he had considered. But Bruno's presence was unmistakable, a living shield, unwavering and unafraid. The lion growled low, a deep rumble warning the intruder to retreat. Yet Bruno stood his ground, growling in return a low, steady sound that conveyed both challenge and protection. The standoff stretched on, the air thick with tension. Jabari circled cautiously, weighing his options, muscles ready to spring into action. Bruno matched every movement, his body taut and balanced, eyes locked on the lion's with fierce determination. There was a silent battle unfolding, one not of claws and teeth yet, but of wills and courage. Suddenly, with a roar that shook the earth and sent birds flapping from their nests, Jabari lunged. Bruno leapt aside with agility born of countless trainings and instinct. His bark rang out again, louder this time, a call that echoed through the veldt, summoning the rangers from their distant watchtower. The sound of approaching vehicles, motors humming and tires crunching on dirt, grew louder, breaking the moment's deadly quiet. Jabari, recognizing the rising danger, snarled in frustration. The hunger in his eyes flickered with hesitation. The risk of staying and fighting was growing too great. With one last piercing roar, the lion melted back into the shadowed grasslands, his retreat swift but reluctant. Breathing heavily, Bruno stood tall, his coat ruffled but his spirit unbroken. He moved gently toward the trembling deer, his warm tongue brushing its fur in a soothing gesture. The deer, sensing safety for the first time since its injury, nuzzled Bruno softly, eyes filled with a fragile gratitude. Moments later, the rangers arrived in their vehicles, trained eyes quickly assessing the situation. They carefully lifted the injured deer, wrapping its broken leg with makeshift bandages. Bruno was checked for wounds, but his steadfast detector's heart had kept him mostly safe. As the rangers drove off toward the station, Bruno followed, his tail wagging with quiet pride. That night, under a blanket of stars, Bruno curled beside the recovering deer inside the safety of the rangers' quarters. The air was calm, filled with the gentle sounds of the savannah night. The distant calls of nocturnal creatures, the rustling leaves, and the steady breathing of two unlikely companions. In that moment, the savannah whispered a timeless truth. Bravery takes many forms, and sometimes the fiercest protection comes from the most unexpected heroes. If you enjoyed this story about Bruno, the brave German shepherd who stood up to protect the helpless deer, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more incredible wildlife tales. Please like this video to show your support, and comment below to share your thoughts or tell us about your favorite animal heroes. Your support helps us bring more amazing stories from the wild to you. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next adventure.